Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Statue of Liberty. We are... when we last left off, we were here in the lobby with, I guess that was the torch. That's the torch which the statue currently holds and which was blown off it when the statue was attacked. But anyway, let's go up and now that we've rescued Gunther, we really have not much left to do on this mission except just go up and finish things off. There will be a few more obstacles in our way, but I think not too many. Here we go. Here's a conversation.
Did they find the shipment?
Yeah, we got the whole supply. You can see the ship's lights crossing the bay.
Guess y'all were right. So why aren't we pulling out?
Mike's on the horn. Jojo wants a lead on the distribution network.
Hell, we don't have enough men to protect what we've got.
That's what Jojo wants.
I wonder, how does a guy with a tattooed forehead get to be an NSF colonel? Pardon me, but back in Alabama, we wouldn't let a man who wears earrings plan a military operation.
I'd watch what I say about Jojo. He's got a temper.
He's a punk and he's gonna get us all killed.
The NSF is strong because it represents everyone's interests.
Yeah.
Sweet home Alabama. I've actually never been to Alabama, so I can't really comment. I don't know if they have a lot of people there who wear earrings. Anyway, let me go ahead and save again. I know I save a lot, I'm sorry. I don't want to have to go up the stairs again. And anyway, I'll just say he's a good old boy. That's right, that boy's a good old boy. I got some feedback on, I think on my last video, that I should vary my combat somewhat because I'm relying too heavily on the crowbar. Now, the reason I rely on the crowbar is very simple. It doesn't use any ammunition, so you can use it endlessly. But you could make the point that I don't really need to carry around all this stuff if I'm not going to use it. So for entertainment purposes, let me go ahead and do something different here and toss one of these gas grenades. And let's just see how it works out. So yeah, so it works similarly to a lamb. You can throw it, if you're up against a wall like this, you'll put it on the wall and it will trigger when somebody walks close to it, or you can just throw it. So let's go ahead and see what happens if we toss it at these guys.
Huh? That's him.
Now, problem is, it also hurts you in the process if you walk into it, so it's kind of, you know what I probably should have done was, rather than walking up to them, walking into my own cloud of tear gas, what I probably should have done was shot the two fellows here while they were under the effects of the gas. So let's try that again.
They found us. I got this one.
All right, can we go ahead and I'm gonna wait till the crosshairs get small. That worked out pretty well. You'd think they would run around a bit more. He's just kind of standing there. You'd think they would try to get away from the gas, but I guess that doesn't really occur to them. Anyway, okay. So let me see. How do I reload here? I think normally reload is semicolon, but on this keyboard it's U. U with umlaut. Okay, let's see what these fellows had. This guy had another knife and some more 10mm ammo. And this guy, I think it was the Alabama boy, he had tranquilizer darts, so that's fine. And speaking of, what is that down there? Oh, I think it's just some kind of residue from the gas grenade or something. But anyway, speaking of gas grenades, it just so happens that surrounding this area here, not on that side because you have the two guys there, but this is basically a four-sided, it's a square. And on the other three sides, they have gas grenades, which are indeed set to trigger on the wall. So let's see if we can get all of these without having to save in between. That's one. That's two. Time was a little slower on that one because I was a little off with the mouse at first. And that went pretty well. Okay. And after that, I might as well save. I have to be honest, and when I play this game myself, I just, like I said, I'm a pack rat. I just carry everything around with me, but I never use the gas grenades. I don't think I've ever, maybe once I've actually used the gas grenades for whatever reason, but I don't think I ever really in practice use them for anything because it's just easier just to whack everybody. This goes down to where we were before. So you remember there was this area here right after we jumped up those, I think on the other side there were those metal crates stacked up, which we used to climb up to this level of the statue, and then we had some guys here that we killed. Where are they now? I'm pretty sure that... Or are we down there, maybe? Have we been up on this level yet? Doesn't seem like there's anything here. I don't think we've been here before, actually. Because I don't remember this bench here, but there's nothing here, actually. There's just that bench. But there's nobody here. And nothing here. Okay. Here we have another view of the statue's head there. Okay, well, let's carry on. Yeah, there's absolutely nothing here except these benches. Odd. Wonder why they bothered to include that, but oh well, it doesn't matter. Okay, so and I don't think there's anything here either. I mean, on the inside, there's the staircase, but out here, I don't think there's anything out here either, do we? Yeah, I mean, they closed off this inner area here with the gas grenades in case somebody tried to sneak in, but it didn't really work very well. Those are the stairs that we just came up, so let's keep going up. I think...
Gunther has re-established contact. He says you helped him escape. Good work.
Thanks. I think we don't actually know who that Alex Jacobson guy is yet. I mean, obviously he's some guy who works with us, but I don't think he's introduced himself in the game yet. In fact, I'm pretty sure he hasn't.
Some news, JC. The NSF targeted a shipment of the plague vaccine Ambrosia. We can't locate it. See if the leader will surrender when you reach the command post. We'd like to interrogate him.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, Ambrosia is originally the, isn't it the food of the gods? It's basically like the food that was like some kind of divine food. In this game, Ambrosia is basically a trade name for a medication, for a drug that's a cure to this disease that's becoming a pandemic within the game's world. We'll find out more about that as the game goes on, but yeah, Ambrosia is the plague vaccine, which everybody wants because everybody's getting the plague. Now, there are a couple of guys here, I think.
Let's get out of here.
I'm standing my ground.
They sprung Herman. We don't stand a chance against a mech.
This is it, Private. We knew it might come to this.
What good are we to the NSF if we end up dead?
If UNATCO breach the perimeter, then it's already too late. Get ready to fight.
Indeed. Even though UNATCO hasn't really breached the perimeter, it's just us. We've breached the perimeter. Gunther is not even coming up here with us, so it's really just these two guys against JC. But sure, let's get ready to fight. And let's see, what do I have that I can use against these fellas? We've seen the gas grenade. Let's try the gas gun, if I can... hold on, can I get my... Thanks. So, yeah, we have this pepper gun. Incapacitate your attacker in under 2 seconds. Let's see, do we want to use that, or... I should use this PS20 at some point, but it's really only good against one person whom we can sneak up on. It's not good against multiple people, so we'll save that for later. Sure, let's try the pepper gun and see how this works. This is also something I never use, so I kind of have my doubts as to its efficacy, but maybe I'll be surprised. Let's find out.
Uh-oh.
Okay, I'm kind of curious. Why did... This guy reacted to it almost right away. Almost, like, within a second, this guy just started freaking out. But this guy... The other guy took a lot longer to react to it. Let me try that again. Was I off with my aim, or what was the deal there? Why did it work so well against one guy but not the other?
Uh-oh.
Okay. Actually, let's use. Can we use the stun prod against these guys? Yes, we can. So that's what happens when you stun the guys. They turn unconscious, and for all gameplay purposes, for any practical purposes, they're basically the same as being dead, except that the game considers them not dead, but just knocked out. There's really not much gameplay difference. There's no gameplay difference that comes about as a result of this. The only difference is later on after the mission, some dialogue lines may be a bit different depending on how many people you've killed. So maybe the dialogue is a bit different if you kill more people or less people. But anyway, yeah, you can still search their bodies. This guy had 10mm ammo. This guy had also 10mm ammo. You can pick up their bodies and throw the bodies around just as you could with dead bodies. So I mean, there's really not much gameplay advantage to. Oh, here's another PS20, but I can only carry one at a time, so I'll just go ahead and have to leave that there. Since I can't pick it up, the game won't let me have more than one, for whatever reason. I really don't know why. It seems a little silly to me, but hey. Cigarettes, don't need those. Candy bar, don't really need the candy bar either, but I already had one, so now I have two. Chocolent Dream. It's chocolate, it's people, it's both? 85% recycled. Wait, is it? Oh, I get it. It's a pun on Soylent Green. Okay, very clever. Let's drop this knife. And see what's next. Danger, structure unstable, area condemned. Okay.
Easy. We want you to take this one alive and conscious. Find out what you can about the shipment, then turn him over to one of the troopers.
Okay, that's the game's way of telling you that. There we go, we got 750 skill points for reaching a critical location. That's it. No more fighting, just the interrogation of the leader. Let me go ahead and take a moment. Let's take a look at our skills, since I got some more skill points. Is there anything here that I want to upgrade? I mean, I'm also so stingy with my skill points. There are basically... I think there are just enough skill points in the game that you could almost max out all skills by the end of the game if you're very stingy, like if you really, really collect all the skill points. I'm not sure if there are quite enough for you to get all of these maxed out. You can max out most of them by the end of the game if you really get all the skill points possible. So I probably don't need to be that careful. I can probably afford to splurge a bit because, I mean... I don't know. I'll hold off for now. I think we're okay. Do I have any images I need to look at? No, but this is the guy we're about to meet, so it's Leo Gold. Let me go ahead and save here. Just so we can see how the conversation reacts under different circumstances. So, there's the guy there. And actually, before, oh, I can't get to that canister, I think, until or can I go around the other way? It doesn't really matter, I can just pick up the canister, I guess, but I just would like to take a look at it before we get into this conversation, because this will be a long conversation, so before we spend, like, the rest, this will probably take up the rest of the video, so before we...
Don't shoot. I surrender.
Alright, never mind.
So you think you know better than FEMA what to do with this month's ambrosia shipment?
You're too late. It's on its way back to the people, and you can't do a damn thing about it.
So, we can do two things, or we can say two things. We can say, except send you back to the people in a body bag. or tell me about the shipment and I'll order the troops to pick you up as a prisoner instead of a corpse. So I'll go ahead and side with this second option because we really have nothing to gain from killing this fellow anyway. I mean, we did promise Harley, what was the guy's name? Not Harley Quinn, Harley Philbin, I think his name is. I think we did promise him that we would leave this guy alive. Not that it really matters. I mean, what's Harley going to do if we kill this guy? I don't think he has any way to retaliate against us. But we will see Harley again later in the game, so it might be good to keep him on our side and not make too much of an enemy out of him. And again, we really have nothing. As this guy says, we can't do anything about the loss of the shipment of Ambrosia now, so killing him is not going to accomplish anything at this point. He's surrendered, and to kill him now in cold blood would be, it would be dishonorable. It would be a violation of whatever protocols. I don't know if the Geneva Protocol is still in effect at the time of this game's timeline. But anyway, so I'll go ahead and side with the second option. But just to see what happens, since I did save my game, let's go ahead and see what happens if we choose the first option.
Except send you back to the people in a body bag.
I am the people.
Oh, and he starts shooting now. So if you threaten him, he actually starts shooting at you. That's an interesting... a lot of radical movements will use that line, I am the people, or we are the people, suggesting that, that's a very interesting line because people get this idea that they represent the will of the people because they think they think that their opinion matches the will of the people, and very often it's not the case. Very often small fringe groups with minority views that don't really represent a majority opinion will start saying we are the people and start implying that they represent the will of the people, even though they really don't. They really represent a very small minority group's view. So this guy, I don't know if this guy speaks for the people, but the way that he said that's kind of a bit... that is interesting that he would say that. I don't know. Does this guy really think that he represents the will of most people? I don't know. Anyway, let's go ahead and go through with this alternate timeline and just fight him.
That might have been over the line, JC. I don't know. Better head back to base on the west side of the island. Objective complete.
Alex sounds very disappointed by the whole thing.
The chief finally let us loose. We were right behind you and cut through them like a hot knife through butter.
Yeah, so if you had left, or if we had left anybody alive on the island, then at this point they would all be dead. UNATCO came... as soon as you reach this guy, UNATCO just cuts...
the mess.
They give the order for these soldiers to just cut through the lines, and they'll just tear through everyone. They'll just absolutely kill everyone, and that's it. Everyone's dead. But we already killed everyone for them, so I don't think they had a lot of work to do. I think it's more just a cleanup crew at this point. But yeah, so that's what happens if you threaten the guy. But let's not do that. Just before I load the game, let's just take a look at this. This is an augmentation canister. This will give us our first nano augmentation. So an augmentation canister teams with nanoscale mechanocarbon ROM modules suspended in a carrier serum. When injected into a compatible host subject, these modules augment an individual with extra sapient abilities. However, proper programming of augmentations must be conducted by a medical robot, otherwise terminal damage may occur. For more information, please see Face of the New Man by Kelly Chance. So, yeah, we can't install these ourselves. We need to go to one of those medical robots and have the robot install this, but that's not too bad because there are lots of robots in the game, so we shouldn't have too much trouble finding one of those robots to install this for us. So this canister can give us either microfibril muscle or combat strength. Basically, each of these canisters in the game is a binary choice. Each time you have to choose one of two upgrades, and they're mutually exclusive. Once you choose one, then you can never get the other for the rest of the game. So it's a permanent decision for the rest of the game, and generally, I think they're supposed to be kind of balanced against each other so that one's not necessarily better than the other, but they kind of more suit your play style. You can choose which one you want based on your play style. Some of them are definitely like very clearly better than others. So some of these will be like a really obvious no-brainer choice, and some of them are just kind of like, well, pick what you want based on whatever play style you want to go for. So we see more of that later. I'll talk more about that after, after we get to a robot and have the ability to install this. But for now, let's go ahead and load and get set for a long conversation. Oh, flares. Let's get the flares, why don't we? Okay. Here's another 40. We really don't need the 40. Yeah, we don't need it. Just forget it.
Don't shoot.
So you
Alright, so I'll go ahead and choose the second option here.
tell me about the shipment, and I'll order the troops to pick you up as a prisoner instead of a corpse.
Ask away. We already won this round.
Where are you taking it?
We're just giving ordinary people the same chance to survive as the bureaucrats
That's
in
not an
Washington.
answer.
You'll have to unload in New York because the choppers would spot you at sea.
I think the government made the plague on purpose to get rid of the population growth.
It's also not an answer.
Well done. I will pass on your orders to the troopers. Report back to base on the west side of the island. Mission complete.
Now, as I said, the game does not force you.
The chief finally let us loose. We were right behind you and cut through them like a hot knife through butter.
The game does not generally force you into long conversations, so you can just leave it at that and go down the stairs. But this guy has many interesting things to say.
I'll take it from here.
This is one of the big, long, thought-provoking conversations of the game, so let's continue this out.
Just answer the question.
Don't believe me? It's all in the numbers. For 100 years, there's been a conspiracy of plutocrats against ordinary people.
You have a single fact to back that up.
Number one, in 1945, corporations paid 50% of federal taxes. Now they pay about 5%. Number two, in 1900, 90% of Americans were self-employed. Now it's about 2%.
So?
It's called consolidation. Strengthen governments and corporations, weaken individuals. With taxes, this can be done imperceptibly over time.
Okay, the conversation will go on beyond that, but I'm just going to go ahead and inject some opinion here. I apologize if anybody doesn't want to get sidetracked with stuff like this because, it's supposed to be a let's play of a game and not political commentary, but the game is a mixture of gameplay and political commentary. So since we're doing this, since we're having this conversation, let's go ahead and pause for a minute, and I'll go ahead and give an unpopular opinion. First of all, what the guy says is obviously true, and I think it's a very popular theme. Taxation is a very commonly discussed subject in politics. It's an important subject for most governments. But he makes an important, he makes an interesting point. He says he basically combines governments and businesses into one unit. He says it's basically individual people versus businesses and government. Now, in our contemporary political discourse, there tends to be there's a tendency to consider government and business as opposed to each other. Because what you see happening is governments very often act against businesses. Governments do things like they'll levy huge fines against businesses when businesses do either anti-competitive things or things which somehow harm consumers. And business people often say that they wish there would be less government. That's kind of, especially in the United States, that tends to be sort of the mantra of business people, that they want less government interference in their economic and financial affairs so that the businesses can make more money. So again, in our contemporary political discourse today, there's often this tendency to think that that business and government are enemies. But it's not necessarily the case. In many cases, they're in bed together and they are working together against the common person, the little person, which is the point that this guy's making here. What he says about quantity or level of taxation, it's a very populist thing that he says. I use the word populist a bit ironically because right now it's usually used to refer to right-wing politics, but this is kind of a left-wing populist sentiment that he's expressing. It's a very popular idea, tax businesses. Businesses don't pay enough taxes, and we should raise taxes on businesses and lower taxes for the little people. Ross of Accursed Farms talked about this at length in his review of Deus Ex. If you look at Ross's Game Dungeon video for this game, for Deus Ex, he actually went with this for quite a bit. Probably because Ross is an American who is not in good financial shape personally, and so it's a theme which hits personally close to him. It's like it's close to his heart personally because he is an American. Although I think he lives in Poland now. I think he moved to Poland, and so he's not really part of the American financial system as such, unless he's planning on going back to the U.S. at some point in time. But as far as I know, he still lives in Poland. Anyway, so Ross took that approach and said, well, yeah, businesses are paying less taxes and individuals are paying less taxes. Like there's more personal income tax and less corporate tax. There's some truth to that, of course, but I'm going to go ahead and here's where the unpopular opinion comes in. That is not necessarily what it seems to be. If you read about taxation systems in places like, I'll take Denmark as an example for the reason that Bernie Sanders cited Denmark as an economic model for the United States. Now, I don't have anything against Bernie Sanders. Don't take this as a jab against Bernie. I'm not specifically opposed to his political positions or ideas, but he is a bit naive, or was a bit naive when he basically said Denmark is a model and we should try to make the American economy more like Denmark's economy. Because there are a lot of things that people don't know about Denmark or the Nordic countries in general. What people tend to think of when they think of the Nordic countries is that the Nordic countries pay for people's everything. They pay for your health care, they pay for your education, they pay for for infrastructure and things like that. Yeah, there's some truth to that, but where do you think the money comes from? Money has to come from somewhere. And in the Nordic countries, people are taxed enormously. Many people pay almost half of their income as income tax to the government. And guess what? What do you think corporate taxes are like in the Nordic countries? In many cases, they're very low. In Denmark, it's exactly what this guy, Leo Gold, described. You have low corporate taxes, so businesses don't pay a lot of tax, but individuals pay ridiculous amounts of tax on their personal income. And there's a reason for that. The reason is because in order for people to be making money, you have to attract business. There has to be, an economic incentive for businesses and corporations to get set up there. And if a lot of people say just tax the rich, raise taxes on big businesses. Well, that's a nice idea, but guess what happens if you do that? You drive the businesses away. One of the reasons why so many jobs are being offshored and so many businesses are leaving the West, shall we say, and moving to places like China or other parts of Asia is because it's more expensive in the West. Taxes are high in the West, and it's so expensive to start a business there that the businesses leave. And you end up with a situation like Detroit, where all the businesses have left and everybody's poor and unemployed and miserable and desperate because there's no business anymore. So, I'm not a friend necessarily of big corporations. I'm not one of those people who thinks that business people are the most important people or anything like that. But you can't just take the very simple attitude of tax the rich and give all the money to the little people, because what that's going to do, it's going to drive away all the people with money. It's going to drive away business, and it's going to create less jobs for people. I know it sounds like a very trickle down sort of economic theory what I'm saying, and yeah, I know it sounds like something that Republicans would say in the U.S., but there is some truth to it. That's the thing. You know how they say. It's funny because Deus Ex is a game all about conspiracies. And you know how they say, just because you're paranoid, it doesn't mean that they're not out to get you? Meaning some conspiracies are real? Well, some conservative, Republican, right-wing economic theory is true. I mean, it's not all BS. There is a bias to it, yeah, but I mean, there's a bias to left-wing liberal economics and politics as well. So everything is biased. It doesn't mean that it's untrue. Anyway, I apologize for going off on a rant, but I'm using this opportunity to interject some of my own opinion into this, since it's not even my own opinion. I'm not saying this represents my opinion, but it's just more like a counterpoint, kind of a counter-argument to the very popular populist arguments that are very popular in the American political discourse right now. So I'm not, it's nothing even really to do with my opinion as such. I just want to add to the discussion because these are things that people often don't think about or talk about. So let's continue on. I think Leo Gold still has a lot more to say.
I guarantee you that the interrogation staff at UNACO will not be as forbearing as I am.
Yeah, the secret police. You're just bullies for a completely illegitimate government in Washington.
We will locate that shipment one way or another.
The entire executive branch is handpicked. 19 of the last 23 U.S. presidents have been members of the Trilateral Commission. The Trilateral Commission is financed by the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds. Don't tell me.
That's a think tank. Anyone can become a member.
But not everyone does. That's why they call it the secret government.
That is a great line. That is a line which I want to just single out for a moment because of how insightful it is. The guy starts talking about a think tank, and JC says, well, that's just a think tank. You know, it has no official. A think tank has no official authority to decide anything or do anything. And so JC says, I mean, it's like a private group of people who just sit around and talk about things. Anybody can become a member. But then the guy says, yeah, but not everyone does. Yeah, the think tank has no official authority, but it's what you call soft power, sort of unofficial. I don't know what's the term for it. Basically, an organization which officially does not have any power, but unofficially will be listened to. Their decisions carry weight, and people will tend to side with whatever they decide. So, that is a great insight. Anyway, let's continue on.
You can't fight ideas with bullets.
Oh yes, you can. These are brave. This guy has a lot of brave words, and I mean, it sounds nice, but the fact is you can fight ideas with bullets. If you kill somebody, their ideas die with them, unless they committed those ideas to paper or managed to spread those ideas in their life. But a lot of people's ideas do die with the person. So this guy's full of a lot of big talk and brave words, and I mean, a lot of what he says is true, obviously, but don't look at it that simply. There are two sides to every coin, and a lot of what he says is propaganda in its own way.
Did you ever ask what it's for? The surveillance, the police, the shoot-on-sight laws. Is that freedom?
I would make the case, I've actually thought a lot about this in the past. A lot of people think that security and freedom are opposed to each other, that the more you have of one, the less you have of the other. But I don't think that's necessarily true. I think that it is possible to have security without infringing on people's freedom. I think in many ways security can increase people's freedom. If people live in safety, they are actually more free. That's the thing. If there is a threat, you do need to take steps against that threat, because a threat actually makes people less safe. And so security, having good security will actually increase people's freedom. So security and freedom don't necessarily have to work against each other. They can work together. And what this guy's describing is a situation where maybe security has where law enforcement has overstepped its bounds and has become oppressive. That may be the case, but you shouldn't assume that that a strong law enforcement presence means less freedom for people. It can be just the opposite.
Your NatCo teaches teenagers to fight when it still seems like a game. And look at you. You're a killing machine.
Yeah, this was a common thing before World War II, that schools would teach children to think in a military way, and children would grow up thinking that war is cool and fun. You can be a cool soldier and fight on the battlefield and be a hero, and it's cool and awesome. But I think that kind of sentiment has long since disappeared. I think children today are more likely to be taught exactly the opposite in schools.
Who's the scary one, huh? Me or you?
That's a great question. It's actually that's a great question that he poses. I think this is a question that everyone should ask themselves, because most people have something that they're opposed to. Most people have something that they consider their enemy. Many Americans would consider Donald Trump presently to be an enemy, or if you're a Trump supporter, then obviously then you have a lot of other people whom you probably consider your enemies. Everybody thinks that they are right. Everybody thinks that their opinion represents the one true correct opinion, but it's not necessarily that simple. You know, I mean, look at yourself and look at the people whom you consider your enemies, and ask yourself, why do we hate each other? Why do we fight each other? Who's the scary one, huh?
The more of us you
Hell of a
kill,
long shift.
the more that secessionism lives in the hearts of the people.
I don't know if that's true, but okay.
Ever wonder why big car companies pay 2% tax while the guys on the assembly line pay 40?
This is the same subject again of why corporations pay less tax than individuals. It's a big subject. It's not something I can obviously cover in this context, but it's...
Never should have transferred.
Corporations are so big you don't even know who you're working for. That's terror. Terror built into the system.
That is also a great point. I think it was Wasn't it Jean-Paul Sartre who said something like, as long as you can look your oppressor in the eye, you still have some measure of freedom? Meaning that the real terror, like real institutionalism, sets in when you don't even know who's running things, when you have just these big faceless corporations and governments running things, and there's no personal touch, no personal contact between people anymore. That's also a great point, which could be discussed at much greater length. But I'm gonna leave it for now. Whoever wants to research it and talk more about it, feel free to do so, and post your opinions in the comments if you want. This is rapidly gone from being a Let's Play to being a political discussion, but I think the avenue is appropriate. I think this is, one of the reasons why I love this game is because it is so thought-provoking. It serves as a great spark for further discussion about political and economic and social issues, and also technological issues, so yeah.
Corporations are so big you don't even know
Okay.
who you're working for. That's terror. Terror built into the system.
All right, buddy. Good luck to you. I think they're probably going to kill him. He's probably going to be tortured and then killed. Quite honestly, it would probably be a mercy to him if we killed him, because, death, dying quickly is sometimes a mercy. I think what's going to happen to this fellow is not. It's probably not going to be very pleasant. If this were real life, you know what? If this were real life, I might just put a bullet in this guy's head just as a mercy to him, because even though I don't agree with everything he says, I think that he doesn't deserve to suffer for following his own personal convictions. And what do we have to gain from keeping him alive and letting him be tortured and rot away in a cell somewhere? I think the best thing that happened to this guy would just be to shuffle off his mortal coil right now, but that's another issue that could be discussed at length. I'm not going to get into that either, so.
Good work, Agent.
Thank you, sir. I'm not sure it was good work, but.
We're gonna lock this guy away for a long time.
Yeah.
I'll take it from here. Good work, Agent.
All right. That was that. That was the first mission of Deus Ex, and now there's not much left to do except go back down and. Yeah, everything's still where it was, but we have everything we need, so we'll just go down to the lobby, return to the UNATCO headquarters, and get debriefed. To borrow a line from Calvin and Hobbes, little did UNATCO know that J.C. Denton doesn't wear briefs. Yeah. Okay, I'll go ahead and save here. Can I please get my menu? Oh man, this game is... Yeah, game paused forever. I pressed escape and it took like 10 seconds for the menu to show up. Okay, back outside. After a scene of great intensity, we are back outside in... why is the screen black? The compass on the left is reacting. I know I pronounced that word wrong. The orientation device on the left is moving with my movements of the mouse, but I don't actually see the screen being rendered. Oh, now. Wait, what? Okay, now it's showing something. For a long time it didn't show anything. I don't know what happened there, but anyway. Alright, I'll go ahead and leave it at that. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope that people weren't too turned off by my political discussion. Again, I don't mean, by no means do I intend to use this as a place, as a soapbox to vent my own political opinions. Again, what I wanted to do was voice an unpopular opinion to get people to think a little bit differently, because I'm sure that most people have heard a certain perspective many times, because it's very emphasized in our media, both in news media and in fictional media as well. So I wanted to present a contrasting opinion, not because I necessarily think that it's the one true correct opinion, but because I wanted to say something different. This is a game that gets you thinking differently, gets you thinking about things that you wouldn't necessarily think about, and so I wanted to use the opportunity to do that as well. Perhaps it came off as a bit heavy-handed. I don't know. Anyway, as I said, please post your comments and opinions in the comments below. I'd be interested to hear and read what you folks have to say about all this. And thanks for watching. This was a bit intense. I think most of the rest of the game will not be quite as intense as this, but there will be a few conversations like this which will potentially lead to long diatribes and tangents from me and from the characters in the game as well. So we'll see a bit more of this. But I think the tone of the game is not necessarily that dark. Like this got kind of dark. It's not always this dark. It's the game has a sense of humor. We'll have some comic relief. We'll have some funny moments, and there'll be some dark moments as well. But it's mostly not too heavy-handed, I think. So yeah, hopefully we will continue to have fun with Deus Ex. I'm still enjoying this. I hope that you folks are enjoying this as well. Again, let me know what you think. I will talk to you folks later. I will shut up now and go away. Bye-bye for now.